Good morning, beautiful, beautiful people. Happy Monday, guys. I messed up. I messed up. Oh, I'm all right. Let's just talk about it. Let's call this the truth about my rental unit, right? My rental unit is approximately 60 miles away from where I live now. So that's about 120 miles round trip. I'm only saying that to say it's not necessarily around the corner, and it can take anywhere from 1 to 2 hours to get there depending on traffic. My rental unit. I bought this unit, this house, actually it was my home, back in 2004. I bought it. I did not have a job. I was getting out of the military. And so my bright idea at the time was, since you're getting out the military, why not buy a house now? I didn't even have any prospects for a job, but I said, why not buy a house now when it looks like you have a job, so that all the paperwork I would submit, my LES, leave earning statements, all of that stuff will look like I'm gainfully employed. That was my big idea. Because I got out of the military in 2004. And y'all, I pulled it off. I did it. I bought a whole entire house, my first home, without even having a job. But I had that much faith and confidence that all was well and that I could do this thing, right? I found this home myself. Like, I didn't know anything. Like, a lot of times I do most things without knowing anything about a thing. So I didn't know, like, even when I bought this Tesla, I didn't know anything about Tesla. So, like, I have a whole video out called Worst Tesla Issues Ever. And in that video, I get clowned so much because people are like, how'd you not know X, Y, and Z? Because I bought the car. I'm not the person where I feel like I got to do a ton of research. I feel like if I know, and I just go with it. I do not procrastinate in the name of, I got to research, I got to find out, I got to learn. I'll learn on the road. And that's exactly what I did in that video. I learned on the road, literally. On a road trip. But in the meantime, I did the same thing back. See, I'm not new to this. I've been doing this. This is how I've been living my life forever. So I bought a house without even knowing much about buying homes or much about anything. And so I try to get agents to help me. Blind calling agents, right? You would think that would be a good thing, but for some reason it really didn't work out. And I remember I would just go and do Google searches, and then I think I ended up on somebody's email list, an agent's email list, where he sent me out a list of things that hit the market, like before they would hit the internet, right? And so I got this list, and on this list was this property, and I went out and I looked to see the property myself. Like, let me drive out there. And I felt like I liked the property, and I called him to try to arrange a showing. And this guy asked on the phone, well, how much money do you have? How much do you have to put down? How much do you have saved? And I was like, because I did read How to Buy a House for Dummies. Don't play with me. So I was like, sir, I don't have to disclose that information. And he said to me, well, I don't want to waste my time or yours. But he threw in my time first, and then he threw in or yours as an afterthought, to basically say he was not going to come out there to meet me, or he was not going to arrange a time to show me this property. I went out there anyway, myself. And I decided I'm just going to go and look through windows, because I had a feeling. And so as I was out there trying to look through windows, somebody went into the house. And so I said, hey, do you mind if I look too? And she says, well, I'm waiting for one of my clients. And she says, well, I got the door open. You can come in and you can look too. But she was waiting for somebody. And so I'm looking around. And in the meantime, her client did come, but he kind of came and looked and then left right back out. Like, nah, this ain't it. And I'm looking. And now let me tell you, this house was tore down from the floor down. It was like the carpet was done. It was nasty. The walls looked like they just took grape jelly and smeared it anywhere. It was just not a cute look. But I knew. I was like, this is my home. And then I learned it was a foreclosure. So that to me also meant it's less than what the market value says. and this, that, and the other. And so I was just like, I knew it was my home. I just knew it. I knew it. And I talked to that agent. I said, well, I don't have an agent. I want to put in an offer. Can I do it through you? And she was happy. She was like, yes. And so I did that. And again, I think because it was a foreclosure and because she wanted me to win and I didn't know anything about it, she bid it $15,000 over the asking price. And she told me why. I don't know if I quite believed her, but what do I know? And so I ended up winning, and that is how I got this first house. And I say all of that to say is that I never evaluated this home to be a investment property or a rental property, right? I evaluated it as being my home. Now, of course, being new to this and not even being about budget life, not even being about a financial journey, I did a lot of the things wrong. Some of those things include only paying the minimum payment, which I still do. And then it also includes, at some point in time, I did something else where I ended up doing, took out a HELOC. I feel like I did a HELOC on the home. And like I said, I can't even tell you all the financial moves I made because they were not right. They were not right. And I did not track them. But I know I made some janky financial moves on this with this property. So in the meantime, in 2009, y'all know 2007, 2008, the housing market just basically burst in everyone's face. Homes that were once evaluated at $800,000 dropped to $500,000. My house was evaluated at like $340,000. Y'all, it dropped to like $200,000, barely $200,000. So some crazy janky things happened. But yeah, even though I bought the house I feel like I bought it for $215,000. But then when I did the HELOC and all of these other stuff, I think I jumped it to like $240,000 that I owed on the home. Something to that effect. The numbers are not quite accurate. I bought it for less than what I owed. Put it that way. I bought it for less than 240, but somewhere around this time I owed 240, but yet the value had dipped below 240. That's the moral of the story. But at the same time, my job, for years, I have been driving 2 hours one way to get to work from Maryland to Virginia. 2 hours one way, 4 hours round trip, around $800 in gas a month. Okay, I used to have to fill up my car every 2.5 days, and I had a hybrid. I remember that, right? But I lived in Maryland because everybody will always tell you Maryland's cheaper to live in than Virginia. So therefore, me being young, I came to this area at the age of 21. I bought this home at 27, and I was just getting out of the military. Remember, I was getting out of the military without a job. So then, fast forward to 2007. 3 years later, I now have a job that's in Virginia. And I'm doing this thing every day, year in, year out. It was taking a toll. It was tiring. I would get home every day, like, around from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., depending on how early I got to work that morning. My son, I was a single mom. My son was in middle school, and therefore, and actually, he was from elementary school to middle school. So at one point, I even had to have a babysitter because I would get home so late. I was not comfortable with him being in the house by himself all those hours while I was driving home from work. And so I met somebody in the neighborhood who was able to do aftercare with him, and he would go over there. So the struggle was real, guys. The struggle and the sacrifice was real. So eventually I said, you know what? I have to move closer to work. I don't care if I rent an apartment. I'm moving closer to work. I don't care what happens. I'm moving closer to work. I'm not figuring this out. I wasn't even prepared. I did not save money. I did not have a long-term thing about moving closer to work. I just woke up one day and was like, I got to move closer, and I'm gonna get an apartment. And I had a friend, Gwendolyn Gonzalez. Y'all know her. She was a co-worker at the time. And I'm telling her, I gotta move closer to work and I need an apartment. And so she said she would help me because she was a real estate agent as well. And so, true to Gwendolyn's form, Gwen is the type of friend who never wants anything less for you than she wants for herself. Like if she's driving a BMW, she's going to want to try to find a way to have you in a BMW too. And I say that because there are some friends and there are some people who want you to be less than them. They always want to have the best. They always want to have a one-up on you. And so therefore, if they drive a BMW, they're going to talk you into a Honda. Literally, I had a friend who tried to do that. And so therefore, Gwen, instead of showing me apartments, because she was like, I'll show you apartments and everything, but let me show you some other things first. She started planting this dream and this seed in my mind of a home. Now, of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, because I've always heard Virginia is expensive. You cannot really afford to live in Virginia. Nobody can. yet people live in Virginia. And so she started showing me these homes and everything, and I'm just like dreaming now, and my desire and my want is getting bigger and bigger and bigger because of her. And the home I live in now is what she showed me. And again, it was like, girl, like brand new, was gonna be built. And it reminded me like of a writer's cottage. And I was really way more of an artist back then than I am now. Like I was about that art life. And so in my mind, I was like, okay, this is a huge mortgage. Y'all know the story, Eye in the Sky, where I bought this huge house with this huge price tag that I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to swing. I was like, I'm going to have to eat peanut butter and jelly. But y'all, of course, if they approve the loan, it's because you can afford it. And I afforded that thing. Like, I never did struggle. I never had to eat peanut butter and jelly. I just didn't even know. And I say that whole thing about I was doing $800 in gas driving back and forth. Y'all, my gas went down to like maybe $200 a month versus $800 a month. So when you look at those pros and cons, and when you look at that leverage, it's like that extra $600 that I was paying in gas could easily go toward my mortgage now, right? Lived less than 30 minutes away from my job. Went from 2 hours one way to less than 30 minutes one way to work. So with all of that being said and done, I had to rent out my home because, again, the market flipped. So I really couldn't sell it because I was going to be taking a loss there. And there's a whole nother story about all the amazing things that happened that for me to actually line up all of this stuff and buy this house, right? All of the things that I had to do, all of the things I had to come through, and how everything just worked out beautifully. That's a whole nother story. But the bottom line is I had to make a decision to rent out this house. I didn't know anything about renting out homes. I didn't know anything. So I did stuff like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put some things on Craigslist. I'm gonna put some things out on this. I'm gonna put some things like that, you know, listing it with the agent, all kind of stuff. And day in and day out, all the applications we would get, all the people who would come by, they all had a freaking story. They all had a hard luck story. None of their credit was good. All of the credit was like super low. And they all had stories about this is what had happened was and everything. And I just didn't feel comfortable because I said, gosh, you know, if your credit score isn't high, what incentivizes anybody to actually pay the rent? What will incentivize you? You have nothing to lose. So I said, if I'm going to take that risk with people with bad credit and this, that, and the other, I said, let me then look into Section 8. Because that way, at least the rent will be paid. The way Section 8 works, though, is they evaluate whoever is on Section 8. They evaluate what their income earning potential or what they make, and then they do a split. So Section 8 pays one portion, and then the renter pays the rest, the other portion. Sign the leases, do all of that, do all of this. So I felt like that was a safer route to go Section 8 because I said at least I would not be all the way out of the rent, right? And so the tenant that I have now is the tenant that I had then. She's the same tenant. She's my first tenant. She is my only tenant. And from 2009 to now, 2021, she has been the person in that place. We have had a few hiccups here and there. One of the hiccups was some years back, she got into some trouble and she was put away. And therefore, for a few months, 3 months, she was not able to make her portion of the rent. I forgave that. I understood. I felt like it was unfair of her to have been put away. I was there. I was at the courts hearings. I was all of that. I was willing to testify, everything. I even tried to help look for lawyers with her family, all kind of stuff, right? And I really feel like it was a race issue. The reason why they locked a single mom up with young school age kids, right? But so I forgave that. It's like she wasn't able to pay the rent. Who cares? Boom, 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 boom. I got you. Now, years and years and years later, y'all know, 2020, pandemic hits. March, first month of the pandemic, my tenant did not pay her rent. At the time, she had said something to the effect that, oh, I mailed it off. Did you not get it? So it was that game. It's in the mail. It's in the mail. It's in the mail. But it never showed up. April comes, no rent. May comes, no rent. June comes, she pays the rent. July comes, no rent. August, no rent. September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. It is now May. Nothing from her. Section 8 portion has been paid. Her portion has not been paid. This is why in my videos you will see that I'm saying I'm adding $200 to the rent to make up the difference, because at the time that's all that I needed. Then I got a letter from Section 8 in the mail, and what they do is they evaluate the Section 8 recipient's situation it might be every year, it might be every 6 months, I don't know when it is, but they evaluate it at least once a year, at least. And so they sent me a letter in April 20th, this letter is dated, and it says effective May 1st, as a result of annual recertification, there has been an adjustment in the contract. And basically, they have raised it so that she pays more. Guys, if they raise it so that she pays more, this is because she has income. This is because she has means and ability. She has always had means and ability. Otherwise, they would have lowered it so that she paid less. And so they raised her portion to $528 a month. $528. Y'all, she lives in a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom townhome. 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. All she has to do right now, this is her high. And so Section 8 pays the rest. But what Section 8 pays is not enough to cover the mortgage on the property. That's why I end up having to put money in. Now, when I tell you guys I messed up, it's because somewhere along the way, right, I locked myself out of my bank account. So I couldn't get in my bank account. So in order to check on my balances, I would have to manually call. Now, of course, yeah, you can get a reset, but I don't know what I've been doing with my life. Whatever I've been doing it the hard way. So knowing May 1st I had to pay the mortgage on the property, I kept forgetting to check what the balance is so that I could put the right amount into the bank that was needed to cover the balance. Today is May 17th, and I was like, oh, smack. Like, I woke up this morning like, oh, smack. Because I have to the 16th of May to pay my bills. I woke up like, I forgot to pay. And so I went in today to pay, and of course, late fee was applied. This is the first time ever in all of the years, since 2004, that I've ever been late on paying my mortgage on any of these properties. As a matter of fact, I know what y'all going to say. Y'all going to tell me to call the bank. I'm going to call them. I'm going to call them today and try to get that money put back. Why not? I have 2 mortgages with them. I've never been late in all of the years I've had these mortgages. And so I'm at the bank right now because what I have to do, what I normally do is do an transfer online, but we know we don't have time for that. So I'm going to have to go in here right now, go to the ATM and take out $400, not $200. Because remember, the money's changed. So now I'm going to have to take out $400 to be able to cover the difference, to include the late fee, and deposit $400 into my rental bank account. And I just want to share that whole story with you guys. Again, I feel super blessed. I feel super blessed that I'm able to afford this. That it's not a super hardship on me where it's like, oh my goodness, I gotta add $400. Where is this money gonna come from? It's gonna come from my budget. I'm just gonna move some things around. And so what I'm moving around in my budget is I'm gonna send less to my savings, and I'm gonna send less to paying extra on my main home's mortgage. And then we always keep our fingers crossed that just more magical money falls through the universe and into my pockets, and we good, right? But until then, it's so dope that I can afford this with my own man-made abilities, my own abilities. And my abilities are, I've always been a great saver of money, and my abilities are, I earn a great income, and my abilities are, I live way less beneath. I live way beneath my means. I live way beneath my means. So that is super dope. But you guys tell me, because I heard somebody, I didn't hear them audibly. Somebody wrote in a comment that they have programs out there right now that help landlords. I need to look up those programs. I need to research and find it, because of course nothing is jumping out and beating me in the face saying, hey, here's a program, apply for this. I did call Section 8 to make them aware of the issue. They told me to just stop moving to have her evicted. I feel like eviction is a last resort. And then, guys, we also got to think about, with eviction comes a lot of other things. The other things come with me having to pay that full mortgage myself until that property is resolved, and resolved means either has another tenant or I sell it. And it also means that more money has to be invested in the property, because right now, like I said, she's been there since 2009, and she ended up having a dog. And I mean, there's a lot of wear and tear on that place. Like, it would be a lot of money to bring that place up to standard. So it will be the money of me paying the mortgage and the money of me having to bring that place up to standard. So that could be between a good $10,000 to $20,000 in expenses of doing that. And you guys know that loss of rental income, you cannot write that off on your taxes. That's not a loss. You can't write that off on your taxes. The government is like, who cares? You the one who took this investment. We don't care. So that's what it is. But like I said, the investment was never meant to be an investment. It was a matter of circumstances. So, guys, just leave me some comments with some suggestions, some solutions. And like I said, there's some pros and cons to everything. And I did try to think things out, but I would like to know about the assistance for landlords. I would like to know about that, because the other part was, you guys know, for most of the pandemic, there was a moratorium where you could not evict people. Right. So there's that. So there you have it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to thumbs up this video and subscribe if you want to hear more about my financial adventures on this planet, and how we are winning with money, and also how we may be taking some temporary L's when it comes to our coins, but more importantly, how we're going to always have a strategy to overcome. Until the next video, guys. Peace.